Hello everyone and welcome to this belated episode of Music of the Week, which I didn't make last Thursday because, well, it was my birthday and I just didn't want to book a roll else over the weekend. Also, I hadn't finished reviewing all the albums what I have now, and I've got all 6 of them to go through, so let's go. We begin with Ite Bet, which is a great name for a band, with their self-titled second album, I believe. This is a fun bit of Chicago-based hardcore punk, some of the best kind of hardcore punk. I'm giving this one a B plus. I feel like it had some really good performances, especially the lead singer Steve and Claire, who is actually the brother of the producer, who goes by the name of Click Clack. I can only assume that his real name isn't Click Clack. You know, Click Clack Claire would be really funny, to be honest. Yeah, no, I like the instrumentation for the most part. I think the band themselves are probably the best thing about the album, but I like the instrumentation. I like the sort of mix of some really good hip hop with the hardcore punk style. The production is pretty good as well. Mr. Clack, as I call him in my written review, really adds a lot to the sound, I think. I do think the lyrics are a little bit weak, as they're sort of supposedly in his mental health, but they come off like the band are trying to act a bit too big odd man, and I don't buy it. And I feel like the pacing can suffer a little bit as well. It does start to blur fairly quick, but it's still got some really good moments to it as well. I just wish that they did more with the style mix that they have, because it's an interesting one. I like that there's hip hop flows mixed in with really heavy, almost metalcore-ish, or alternative metal at the very least, like guitar work and drum work. And yeah, for my first album by these guys, I was quite impressed by it. Really good stuff. So this next one's going to be difficult for two reasons. Reason one, I can't show you the album cover because I think it kind of has nudity. I don't know, I sensed it when I did the review on Discord. And reason two, I don't know how to fucking say this band's name. It's spelled Allegaeon. Allegaeon? Allegaeon? With their new album, The Ossuary Lens, spelled Ossuary. I wish I knew how to fucking say those words, because as far as I'm concerned, they're not real. I'm giving this album an A plus because holy hell, I was really, yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. This was some really good techie, mellow death metal, and considering how the genre can often blur a tad, more than a tad for me, I quite liked how this one played out. I love the guitar work especially. The instrumentation all in all is really good, but I like that it includes so much melody, which I think is often missing from technical death, and especially like melodic death metal. There's usually not enough melody for me personally, but I think mixing the two styles in such a unique way adds to that, and definitely boosts it. The production is really goddamn good as well. It's got this really like polished feel, but it adds a lot of colour to things, which I quite like. I do like the themes as well, the lyrical themes. Yeah, mostly focusing on like themes of mortality and death, but more like not in a morose way or a morbid way, more sort of in the way of like you've got to place importance on what you do while you're still alive, which is a really good way to handle that theme, honestly. Bands are all really great too. Guitarist Greg Burgess is probably the best worker on the album for me. I love his guitar work, his solos are really, really good. He's proper good. And yeah, I quite enjoyed the pacing. Got a really good main formula, and it messes with it in a lot of entertaining ways. I will admit, the first couple of times I listened to this album, I wasn't super big on it, and I felt like it did start to lose its way sort of near the end, but after a couple more spins, no, it's quite deliberate and intentional, and it works within the confines of the album, so really appreciate that. Next, we have the band who has a lie in its name. We have Black Country New Road with their new album Forever How Long. No, I'm not mispronouncing the word howling. They put the words how and long together into one word, which is not how English works, and despite the band being called Black Country New Road, they're not from the fucking Midlands. They're from England, they're not from the fucking Midlands. As someone from the Black Country, I take that personally offensive. Anyway, it's Black Country New Road with their new album, first one in 3 years, and I'm gonna give this one a B. I feel like this is sort of my Brat of 2025, for lack of a better term, because I enjoy Brat plenty. I just don't think it was album of the year material personally. And I feel like this one has the same few problems. I think the main thing is this is their first album in 3 years. It's the longest gap they've had between albums, right? But the main thing is that it's their first one without singer Isaac Wood. And I feel like he was the main thing that was really keeping the band together. And for this one, 3 of the pre-existing band members started singing, and I just don't think it should have been three of them. It should have just been the one, which is Georgia Allery. She's got the best voice of the three that tried to sing, and I feel like she should have done it more. I don't think she's given enough time to shine. But I do like the performances plenty. I just feel like the chemistry is weirdly mismatched, and it tries to do too much. Lyrics are pretty good. There's some relatable things like friendship. It can feel a bit vague, but I don't completely hate it. Production's quite solid. As with their previous albums, they've changed the producer again, this time with James Ford, who is probably the best producer the band has ever had. That was always a problem I sort of had with their previous couple of albums. It didn't feel like the mix was right. On this one, James Ford guessed that correctly. Instrumentation is probably my favourite thing. I like the folk and baroque and more indie elements worked in, and there's good experimentation. I just wish it went somewhere more, because with the pacing, it can feel unfocused and it gets really wanky in some of the longest songs. Like, at 52 minutes and 10 seconds, this album really needed to cut down for time, or at least do something more interesting with the time that it had. But, I like the album plenty. I just don't think that some of the creative choices going in were necessarily the smartest ones, and maybe they can, I don't know, sort that out for next time, because there's still a band I quite like. They're still a band with a lot of potential, but I think this is the weakest album that they've put out to date. Next, we have another band that lies a bit where they're from, although I will point out now that the one I made about Black Country New Road, that is a joke. I know that they're not actually from the Western Midlands, but it's a joke I like to make because I think it's funny. Same thing could be said for Florida Man here, which is, again, a great name. Why do bands with meme names go so hard? Literally, there's a band named D's Nuts who are really, really good. But Florida Man, who are actually from Charleston, South Carolina, with their new album, Plastique. And I'm giving this one an A+. I will admit I do have a slight issue with the pacing. I feel like it could drag a tiny bit on a couple of songs, which is weird because the album's not really that long. But it feels like maybe a couple more songs could have been added in a weird way, because it feels like some of the ideas just get condensed into other songs that really need to be their own thing. Could get like a tiny bit wanky, but not in a bad way, and I like that they actually mix in the sort of like noisy punk hardcore style that's theirs. Not that they invented, I was going to say, but like it's the style that they play. And they mix it with like really good shoegaze and grunge and alt elements, and yeah, it adds a lot to the instrumentation for me. I love the guitar work, and there's some really good bass grooves as well, which I think is really crucial to this style. It's always important to get right for me. I do like the lyrics. They're based on like the loose concept about AI being bad, because it is, and future authoritarianism, and it actually worked quite well even in terms of the writing. Performances are really good as well. Vocalist Jim O'Connor has a really gruff delivery, but his singing is quite nice too, but I think it is mostly his screams which are the main attraction, and I like the production too. It's glossy and pops quite nicely and really helps and adds a lot to the sound, and yeah, overall just a really enjoyable, surprisingly fun time, and a good mix of genres I usually like when they're put together nicely like this. Next up, we have a Finnish band named Lunakill with their new album, Deathmatch. I think this is their second album, because there's like some sort of kerfuffle over the first one, which I think came out in 2019 or 2018. But uniquely as well for Finland, this is a nu metal act. You don't really get a lot of like nu metal from a country that's not known for producing it, but I'm going to want a B+. I feel like it was quite good. I like the style. The band worked really hard. You can just hear it, and the metaphor of like the deathmatch being used as like, a fight with the inner struggle of mental health. I like that. That's a really good usage of the metaphor. The production is also great as well. Probably my favourite thing about the album, it's very organic, it helps with the flow of the sound, and it does do a lot of the heavy lifting, but it doesn't like completely carry it, which I think is good. Instrumentation is solid. I like the sort of simple but effective pace, and it doesn't go to a ton of new places, but there's good melody in the riffs. I do enjoy the pacing as well. I like the basic construction. I will admit it doesn't feel like it pushes out a lot. And I think, weirdly, the fact that it tries to sound so American is what goes against it. I feel like it could have sounded maybe a bit more unique and Finnish, I don't know. But I like those, and the performances are really good. Singer Lotta Rutiainen, Finnish names are difficult, has really good chops. I wish she did a bit more screaming, but her singing's quite good. And for a genre from a country that doesn't usually put it out, I wish that they did it more, and I hope that this band puts out another one soon. Because this was a pretty good go for them. I enjoyed it. And finally, we have a band called Mama with their new album, Welcome to My Blue Sky. This is a band that's a lot more tenured than I thought they'd be. It turns out this is their fourth album. I enjoyed it plenty. I'm giving this one a B+. I think also a bit like Lunakill's album, it had a very simple but effective sort of style, which I quite enjoyed. I think the instrumentation is probably the best thing. I like the shoegazy bits that they work in. I wish they expanded on those a little bit more. I couldn't pin down things for lyrics, but I did like the emotion and writing, which felt quite honest. I think there was some stuff about love mostly. I really couldn't tell you. I couldn't find much in my research. I do think the band were really good, and I wish I knew exactly who did what. I know one of the members named Aaron Kobayashi, which did the producing, and he did a good job of that. And I think Etta Friedman is the name of the singer, and also she plays guitar, and she's great. I wish she did more guitar solos. She's really good at guitar solos. Production's really good as well. I like the gloss on the sound. And yeah, I'm mostly just reading from my review because fuck it, what else have I got to lose at this point? No one watches these. Pacing is really good as well, though. It's fairly straightforward, and I like that they mix it up just enough to keep it from getting stale. And none of the songs really feel like they overstay or understay their welcome. It's even got some neat tricks thrown in. I just wish that they'd throw in a few more, but all in all, just a solid, overall, really fun and charming indie rock album. Next is favourite album cover and favourite song of the last week. Favourite album cover goes to The Ossuary Lens by Alec Guyon. Again, I couldn't show it to you because I think there's like a nudity thing, but go look it up yourself. It's a really good looking cover, not just because of the nudity, it just looks really nice and uses grey quite well. And favourite song goes to Purifier from Plastique by Florida Man. Just a really well paced song with some good heavy moments, and I like the vocal work a lot. Next for my listening list for this week, 3 albums of which I listened to already. We have Daughter of Swords with Alex, Malmalaka with Hex Key, Messer with The Spin, Nell Smith with Anxious, Rebelmatic with Black Hole Eats the Tornado, and Speedway with A Life's Refrain, which is a pretty cool name. So yeah, those are the ones I'll be reviewing and talking about hopefully on Thursday. I will get the episode out by Thursday this time. And that'll about do it. Next thing you'll technically see me for will be tomorrow because I'll be posting up the entire pay-per-view of Break Even. The first 2/3 of the show were great, and then the last third, oh god, what a dive. What a dive in quality. But yeah, I'll be posting that tomorrow night, because I'm not going to post it immediately after this, because it'll be a bit too much at once. So I'll see you all tomorrow, technically for that. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome.